Welcome, everyone. My name's John Meyer, and thanks for joining another edition of the AWS Blogger. I'm super excited for today's live stream because we have a special guest joining us, Francessca Vasquez, head of AWS Solutions Architect. And we have a full agenda, so I think without further ado, we're going to get right into it. Francessca, how are you?
I'm doing great, John. Thanks for having me today. It's great to be here with all of you. And just remember, we're part of the AWS Solution Architecture and Customer Solutions team.
Ooh, all right. Oh, thanks for adding that in there. So actually, that brings me to my first question. I know we have so much on the topic, so I'm going to jump right into it. And my question for you is, as head of AWS Solution Architecture, what does that role entail?
Yeah, it's a great question. There's a lot of things that we do, but first and foremost, our team of SAs and CSMs, we're all about working with our customers to help them achieve their business outcomes. And how we do that is we try to prescriptively provide them guidance on how best to adopt AWS. We drive a lot of innovation on behalf of our customers. And we also try to make sure that our customers are accelerating their journey to the cloud in the right way and teaching their builders. So I'm pretty lucky in my role, John. I have a lot of fun, and we have a very great team globally.
You mentioned a number of things for our topics, builders, teams, partners. I know ISVs in there, but I think before we get into our topic, I really think we should give some people the backstory on really how we've got introduced or how we kind of got together. What do you think?
Let's do it.
All right, so I got to tell everybody real quick, last year, right around this time, because it is reInvent, what happened was I put the AWS logo into my hair, and don't worry, I've got a picture for everybody to share, and I had it out on social media, and I sent it a couple of days, and everybody's like, why did you do this? Well, reInvent is a crazy, hectic week, and I wanted people to come up and talk to me and tell me their stories. And then, Francessca, you actually started sharing out some of my posts on LinkedIn and following me, and I was like, oh, wow, this is really cool. Up until that point, we never had a chance to meet. In fact, at reInvent, we were going to try to get together, but we didn't. Real quick, what did you think of the logo?
I thought the logo was very cool. I'm inspired by the logo, as you can tell, by the way. So I thought that was great. And I was also, John, inspired by your story of joining AWS and how you did that and just being extremely customer obsessed coming from a partner and that interaction that you had with our senior leadership at reInvent. So.
Yeah. So going off of that one, when you were talking about my story, I did post my story actually on my personal website. Just kind of let you know, and it's how I met Andy Jassy and kind of going on to that one. We're not going to get into that now, but thank you. I really appreciate that. I didn't even know you read my story.
I did. Yeah, I was inspired. And I think it just is a testament to, how we try to help create a builder community and a culture. And it's great to see you really evangelizing a lot of the innovation that our wonderful services teams are helping to drive based on customer feedback.
Yeah. So thank you so much for that one. Actually, that was something new, inspiring to me that you read it. Then we also, we had our sales kickoff in January, and I saw you come on stage, and that was really the first time I got to know your personality, and I loved it. It's actually addicting. Like, you really draw those people in. It was really cool. And then I bumped into you at one of the hotels. You were having dinner, and I felt so bad to interrupt you, but I couldn't wait. I had to say, just to introduce myself.
That's all right. That was a fun time, John. And I remember that day like it was yesterday. In fact, I wish we could get back to those times where we can see one another in person. But you caught me during dinner, and I happened to be talking about Route 53 with an esteemed colleague of mine at that time.
So, Francessca, I actually got our picture up on the screen now, and I have my AWS logo. I hope everybody enjoys that. This is the time that we ran into each other. Yes, I had my Deep Racer on, and as you can see, Francessca's smile, it's the same no matter where you meet her. She's always happy and, very full of energy. All right, so I think it's right now. I think we need to. Oh, wait! I got something for you. You know, I don't have my logo anymore. And I told you I have a surprise, and I haven't brought it in or showed you. But in place of my logo, I got you this, okay?
I like it. It's definitely the right hue of orange. So that's a good thing. Very Amazonian.
Well, I am following my shirt here, so I am keeping it really weird and real. So this was for you.
I appreciate that. We call that peculiar here.
Yes. So I thought you gave a kick out of this. I don't know how long I'm going to wear it on the show, but we'll keep it going.
As long as you don't require me to have to wear that, then this will be a fun time, John.
Hold on a second. Christmas idea for Francesca. Okay, yep, nope, you don't have to worry it now. All right. So as I typically do a lot of these shows and a lot of these podcasts, I like to start off with this quiz, and it just so happened to come out of, yes, thank you for the comments, having fun. Yes, we always have a lot of fun. And as you know, I do a lot of commentating for our chat, so feel free to drop it in there. So back to it, I'd like to do a pop quiz. And I got to ask you, what was the first AWS service?
Oh, John, this is such a trick question because my mind wants to tell you that our AWS Simple Queue service, or what we call SQS, was the first official service in 2004. But you know, my heart is in Amazon S3, which, by the way, S3 rocks, by the way. Our object storage exabyte scale, which was launched in 2006. So I'm going with S3.
Okay, so you are correct. So SQS was the first service, but S3 was the first GA service. They were both in 2006. Do you know when S3 was officially released?
Oh, no, you stumped me on that. What year?
Okay, well, what day and month in 2006?
Oh, that's a good one. No, I'm stumped.
Okay, so based off my conversation and an awesome podcast I did with Mylon Thompson, it was Pi Day.
Very Mylon, amazing leader within Amazon.
Yes, she had some awesome stories that we shared in a 3-part segment, and we did a live Q&A then there at the end. She educated me on that. Apparently everybody would bring in pie on Pi Day to celebrate also the release of S3. So
I think we should start that new tradition for your podcast, by the way.
Ooh. By the way, if you ever see me take some notes, I want some information for next time. So I will be writing some things down as we go.
Okay.
Oh, awesome. So Francesca, I know we kind of jumped into this. We have a full agenda, a lot of important topics here. What are we going to talk about? ISVs, integrated software vendors, partners, investing in those partners, innovation and builders, because, I feel those two topics kind of go hand in hand. Why are customers choosing AWS? Our current trends in the industry, migration advice, and career advice. And they're in no particular order except for the first one we're going to do. And keep in mind, if we don't get to all of our questions, I've kind of set Francesca up to say yes to another podcast in the future. All right, Francesca, are you ready to get started here?
As we say, John, let's go. I'm ready.
All right, so I want to talk about the ISVs. And the reason I want to talk about them is because I see and I feel your importance, and I see and feel AWS's importance in our ISVs, our partners, and investing in them. So in one of our discussions, you actually mentioned ISVs as a really important topic. And can you elaborate why ISVs are important to AWS?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a few things. We have a community of millions of active customers, John, and we have tens of thousands of partners in our ecosystem. It's a huge, vibrant community. And ISVs, global systems integrators, consulting partners, all sort of make up that community. I think one of the observations that I'm finding is that our customers are starting to work with many of our ISVs, these same ISVs and also SaaS providers are building a lot of their new capability on top of our platform, and they tell us it's because it's mature. We have over 175 services. They can drive differentiation in their portfolio. And I just think when you see the likes of organizations like Salesforce or Splunk or Datadog or Sumo Logic or PagerDuty, they're all doing a ton of great innovation on our platform on behalf of customers. And I think that as customers are, reimagining their business and they're trying to drive stronger customer experience for their customers, these ISVs play a pretty critical role in being able to do that. So I'm really excited about our partner community. I'm excited about our ongoing and ever expanding ISV community and a lot of the innovation that we're seeing at those customers. Databricks, I mean, the list just goes on in a lot of different spaces. So I get pretty passionate about this, and we work with our global partner team to make sure that we're providing the right enablement, the right partnership, the right solutions. We're expanding our Amazon Partner Network Ambassadors program around these different teams. So it's important because our customers tell us it is.
You mentioned ambassadors, and I love the ambassadors. I love working with them. Maybe a real quick definition for everybody on what the ambassadors are and how they contribute to AWS or how they're part of it.
Yeah. So the ambassadors program was created a few years back, and basically it recognizes our members of our partner community who help us in many ways drive influence and innovation back to our services team on the platform. They tend to be our highly technical, deep subject matter experts within various partners. We have certainly in our migration competency over 100 partners that participate in that. And this is the community that we seek a lot of feedback from to make sure that we're building and developing the right things and supporting our customers. So I actually had a chance to speak with that community about a week ago. So I'm pretty excited about all the things that they're doing.
All right. So I know we have it's a very unscripted conversation we're having here. We have a bunch of questions, but really some of the things you talk about generate new conversations. You mentioned the feedback that you take from the ambassadors and build new things. That is a huge Amazon culture here, is feedback, customer obsession, which I absolutely love, like number one on that one. Before I get back to the questions, can you tell us about some of that and how we take that feedback and really why we take it?
Yeah, there's a few reasons why. I think one of the tenets that's really important for us here at AWS is innovation. And innovation is core in our DNA. It allows us to look around corners. And it also allows us to create a culture where, again, we're trying to ensure that we are creating a positive customer and partner experience. And so there's a variety of ways that we take feedback. One of which is, we have a customer and a partner advisory board where customers and partners who've been working on our platform over the various years, they give us, direct feedback on our services. A lot of times that's directly aligned with our service leadership, like Milan, who's the VP of S3 in Glacier and EBS. Other mechanisms that we try to use is we have a global customer solutions management team. They're responsible for helping us with our migrations and the management of those migrations. And oftentimes in our customers' journey, they work directly with customers and the partners, and they'll give us feedback in real time on how we're doing and what features are needed. We also have other ways that customers can provide feedback through our account teams. And the importance for that is when you think about our pace of innovation, 90% of the things that we're actually building, they really come from that customer and partner feedback loop, John. And the other 10%, we'll hear signals of different elements. And our job is to quickly go and sort of look around corners and invent on their behalf, just at a faster pace. And so we take that mantra pretty seriously. And to your point, that's how you get customer obsession. We're getting that directly from the customer. And it could be anywhere from our service product set to our engagement model to feedback around what initiatives are top of mind for us. We're doing a lot of work around sustainability as an example. So it's important for us. And I think it's a great aspect of when you're trying to build on behalf of customers and also earn their trust.
I cannot agree with you more, because when I was on the other side and I worked with a couple of the products and I had some questions or I had some feedback, now once I joined AWS, I can't say my request got bubbled to the top, but these features popped up. And I'm like, okay, I must not be the only one that wanted them, but they're hearing, they're listening to us and they're implementing them on our behalf. And I really love that about the culture. 100% hands down. Like, oh, you want a new feature or something? Or you need to, let me put that in and see what we can do. It's not no, it's, let's see.
That's right. One of my favorite just examples and stories, there are many, but I'll try to keep it brief, is, we were getting a lot of signals many years ago around customers who felt like artificial intelligence and machine learning would be critical in how they're building their new applications. They wanted that to be a huge tie-in. And the feedback that they were sharing with us is there's a diversity in our customer personas, some that seem to be AI, ML experts, others that tended to be data scientists, and then others were just everyday business users that needed something simple. Our customers gave us a variety of feedback. We really took that feedback and we started evolving our AI and machine learning platform. Last year at reInvent, we launched 50 new capabilities just in that portfolio alone. You'll hear more about what we're doing at this year's reInvent. And then one of the areas that I thought was most interesting is we took a lot of those signals, and I see deep racers in your background. So one of our great solution architects and a series of our service leaders found that if we started doing these many sort of marketing events around car racing to build deep learning models, it would be a fun way for customers to be able to learn the frameworks and how to apply and develop use cases. And that ultimately turned into what we called a robo-car rally about 2-3 years ago that fed into the development of Deep Racer. And so there's many other examples like that, but that was one that I thought was just very fun. And it took a service team and very smart SAs to take that customer insight and build a great product, but more importantly, build an easy AI ML solution with SageMaker being one component of that allows us to make sure that we're creating machine learning experts for everybody, not just data scientists.
Nice. I am actually going to take this off because it's getting a little warm. It must be my ring light here. Wait, oh, sorry. I love that one. And I loved actually that story on how the Robo made it into the Deep Racer. And that reminds me of a couple ones of the Fire Phone. And if you ever want to read that story, I'm sure you already know that one by heart and how Alexa came about. Those are going to feed into some of our other questions. So I like knowing that. I didn't even know that about the Deep Racer and how it really kind of all came about. And yep. I do it for like daily.
That's right.
Well, I want to get back to, really our ISVs here and partners. And, back in January at our SKO, we really, I felt like the theme was all about our ISVs and our partners and investing in them more. And I could not agree with it because previous months, I was a little concerned. I was like, man, I wanted to do this for ours. And I didn't think we had that initiative. And here, AWS was listening to us and building that into the upcoming event. My question is, how has that changed from then to now, given the current situation everybody's in?
I think it's changed, but in the context that it's evolved and customers have basically accelerated their wanting to ensure that we're driving a deep focus with our partner community, to be fair, for a variety of different reasons. I think since we've been in this pandemic, many of our customers have started to see, changes in their business models. Some have seen just accelerated growth, and a lot of these partners have been able to help customers modernize. In addition, again, being built on our platforms, they've been able to modernize their application portfolios. Other customers are trying to introduce new capabilities because they've gone digital, just as an example. And the partner community, again, provides us great ways to help our customers introduce new capabilities and also drive a level of global scale. This pandemic is happening on a global basis. And so I think it's changed, but I think the change is we're seeing the deep need very fast. And I think it's a great thing. And I think our partner community our investment in our partner community is really going to be about our long term. We want to continue investing in that community.
I agree with you, and I love the change that we are taking towards that, and that our partners are being invested in from an AWS. That personally resonates with me because I am a PSA, and partners are mine, so I love working with them. So I love that part about that. Are there any particular customer segments that can actually benefit most from our ISV partners?
We work with customers that range from startups to governments to enterprise, John. And I don't think there's any one more so than the other. I actually think when our customers are making decisions about, which infrastructure provider that they want to, partner with, it's a long-term decision. And so I think for our ISV and partner community, I don't see any one segment more than the other. I think we're seeing this need and growing trend across the board. It's pretty pervasive everywhere.
Nice. I agree. And my last question on this topic, and I'm going to ask you to look into the future here, is, really, do you see, or how do you see a relationship with ISVs evolving over the next 2, 3, or even 5 years?
Yeah, well, listen, our innovation curve happens so fast. And so I think, just very quickly, I think that we're seeing a lot of, early signals around this need for customers to, again, modernize. And I think our ISVs and the SaaS providers that we work with, they help influence that journey for a lot of our customers. And I think the great thing about that is many of them have decided to build their businesses and that some of their offerings directly on our platform because we have a mature platform. We have over 175 different services, highly reliable, very secure. I think what we're going to continue to see is that demand increase. I think we're also going to see some of our strategic collaboration partnership with these ISVs continue, level of good code development and engineering, I think, over time. And then, one of the areas that I get really excited about is we have an entire marketplace, over 1,500, software providers in our marketplace. And I think that we're going to continue to see ISVs and our partners, feed into that marketplace to make it easier for our customers to do business with us, where they've made investments with these partners today. I think our marketplace is such a great opportunity for our ISVs, plus many other things. But I think that's one that we're going to continue to see over the next few years expand and grow.
Yeah, I think the marketplace is definitely one of the places that will continue to expand and grow its offerings. It's actually a daily conversation I have a lot with my partners with regarding to their software and the marketplace and opportunities there. So I agree with you in it. And I think it is over 1,500, correct?
Yeah, it is. And, we were chatting about, how we met, which is, reInvent last year, but our head of Migration and Marketplace Services, our VP of that team is Dave McCann. We have reInvent in T-4 weeks coming up. You're going to hear a lot from Dave McCann and in our public sector business from Sandy Carter and also from our global commercial team from Doug Hume, who's the head of our partner Worldwide Alliances. So it's going to be exciting, and we want people to tune in for reInvent 2020 for that great keynote.
Yeah, speaking of that, a little plug-in for reInvent. It is free, 3 weeks this year. A lot of content being pumped out and put together. I think it's going to drive an exponential number of attendees, being that it's just going to have some awesome stuff. Obviously it's virtual for everybody, so it's new in an aspect to us on how we're presenting it, but I will be a part of it, just the little thing out there. And I can't wait for it. I am a little disappointed I will not get to see all of you physically on site, but this is the next best thing because it brings it to actually more audience, in my opinion.
That's right. Really excited. There's going to be a new wave of breakout key leadership sessions. Obviously, people are very excited to hear about Andy Jassy, our CEO, his keynote. We're going to get a great keynote from Peter DeSantis, who's our SVP of Global Infrastructure and Support. And then we also have some new things planned, John. We're going to have our first keynote breakout for AI and ML. That's going to be exciting with our VP of AI ML. I already mentioned the partner breakout and keynote sessions, and then a variety of our other leaders across AWS. So you definitely want to tune in. It's one of our really strong learning conferences where you can just learn about what other customers or partners are doing. And we do our best to try to make sure we provide that level of education. So I'm really excited, and I can't wait to participate in reInvent this year.
So as Francesca just said, she gave some hints there, some upcoming stuff. So I think she just gave us an insight a little bit to some of the things coming up. I'm really excited about it. Like you said, I mean, unfortunately, we can't attend these, but I think the keynotes, I really value the keynotes. I actually watch, just a side little thing, not to get off topic. I love watching the presenters at the keynotes and their confidence and how they come across. If you haven't had the chance to watch it, and Francesca, I know you have, but Andy Jassy give a keynote, he's perfect. It doesn't seem scripted. It so comes out so natural. I strive to be that one day, just coming on out and not just have a little bullet points. But I love it.
Yeah, it's going to be exciting. Registration's open.
Yes.
So your customers that are out there, we definitely can help them with registration. And you're right, I think it's going to be a great time. And in addition to just the services, the other great thing that people will have an opportunity to hear and learn is directly from our customers. And we'll have a variety of customers and partners that will be there sharing their journey, their experiences, their business outcomes. It's going to be great. And their innovation.
You know what? You mentioned innovation in the last one, and again on this one, which actually just brings me right into a segue into our next topic, innovation and builders. And the reason I'm grouping them together is I just feel they kind of go a little bit hand in hand, or there's some overlap in that one. And, I noticed that you have a huge passion for innovation and builders. And in AWS, we're always looking for builders. And one of these things I love about the company is you have the freedom to build things. There's no limits. You are allowed to experiment and everything. And I really would like, so my question to you is, how do you define a builder mindset and why is it important to customers?
Yeah, for us, I think it just comes down to, our customers they've come to appreciate what they tell us, John, is that they've come to appreciate our culture. And a key part of our culture is creating a culture that is very rooted in innovation. And there's sort of, three ways that we look at it, by the way. One of which is we tend to be extremely customer obsessed. Our business model is all around customers. I mentioned earlier in the segment that 90% of the things that we build are slated for our roadmap. We get that directly from customer and partner feedback. And then the other 10%, we strive to get signals from customers and then rapidly go and invent on their behalf. And we do that at a speed that's really fast for them. The second thing that we try to do is we intentionally hire builders. And I'm going to tell you my perspective on what we mean by that. And ultimately, we try to find builders, that have a mindset around problem solving and being able to look at things like fragmented customer experiences and really inventing solutions around that at a really rapid rate. And so to me, hiring builders, people that are very good at problem solving, people that look at a problem and they continuously have a beginner's mindset into how you fix it, and people that will see like when we launch a product, a service, or a new capability, they'll see that as the starting line, not the finish line. And so we disproportionately here at the company hire builders, and we also work with our customers and our partners to help them create space to hire builders as well. We don't necessarily believe, that it's the best way, but it's the way that has worked for us, and so we continue to invest in it. And then the third thing that goes hand in hand with our customer obsession, builder and innovation, is I think we're insanely long-term oriented. And so a lot of the decisions or where we make investments, they tend to be very long-term in nature. And it means that we might do a lot of experimentation. You mentioned the Fire Phone earlier. We might fail at some things, but we quickly learn from that failure, and we will repivot that into other areas that might drive long-term value for our customers and the team. So those three things, in my opinion, are extremely critical. And our customers, they expect that from us. Our customers are looking for us to be prescriptive. Our customers are looking for us to help them drive innovation as they're thinking about the types of product, services, global expansion, or agility that they're trying to drive in their overall business. So it's key for us. It's important because it's important to our customers. So I'm all about innovation, and I'm definitely about the builder life, by the way.
You know what? I'm right there with you. I love being a builder. I love the aspect. Yes, somebody just mentioned fail fast. I love the comfortness that AWS allows me to challenge myself, build something, fail at it. Now tell me what you learned. And now, we work at it. It's fun. I'm challenged in every aspect. You mentioned one thing that I think was pretty cool is that it's not the end result of what we get to. And it kind of reminds me of working backwards. So that's a huge thing here at AWS is, work backwards, not forwards. We're not saying here's what we'd like to deliver, but you work backwards from it. And what are you delivering and what are you working on? And I love the challenge about it. And, you actually have to write one-page documents before you even do anything and before you work on something to challenge the whole aspect and working on it, which is like your frequently asked questions. I love that challenge. It gets you thinking.
That's right. Yeah. And again, I think, our customer feedback has been, that's why we continue to do those things. That's why we have those mechanisms. It comes directly from our customers. And again, that's our business model. We don't profess it to be the best. It has worked for us, and it seems to be working for our customers. And so as long as we have those things, we'll continue to do that on behalf of them. So I like that. It's interesting because today I had a meeting. One of the great sort of teams that we have within AWS is we have what we call our Envision Engineering Prototyping team. I'm actually wearing a prototyping hoodie today, but this team, their sole mission is to really answer the question for customers of what's possible. And a lot of times I think when our customers are thinking about how they service their customers or how to introduce, new innovation into their business, they're constantly, thinking about what could be done. And so we try to provide our customers with space with thinking really big and thinking beyond what they think is even possible. And we've devoted a team, to this. So that's how important it is, John.
I agree with you. You said thinking big, and I have to go to a question here presented for that one because it goes right around the leadership principles here. A question from it is, how do we balance bias for action and invent and simplify with other leadership principles such as frugality and think big? Because you just mentioned it, so I thought it was a perfect time. So how do we balance some of those that, from your perspective?
Yeah, so we have 14 leadership principles. They're a key part of our culture here. They're how we operate. They're embedded into every aspect of what we do. And inherently, those leadership principles, some of them have tension. And that is sort of what keeps us really balanced and aligned. And so an example of that is we have a leadership principle called Dive Deep, which essentially tells us that many of our leaders, operate at all levels, of the business and the team and with customers. And so that sometimes has tension with bias for action, where we also disproportionately want to index on agility and speed and going faster. And I think that you have to look at every situation a little bit uniquely, but we have tension in those LPs so that at any given time, as we're making decisions, there are elements where there's some things we want to make sure that we're diving deep enough in. And oftentimes, if we believe that we've got 70% of data plus anecdotes, then that gives us a little bit of good permission to go fast and sort of make a decision and being biased for action. I think one that I struggle with quite a bit is that tension between think big and frugality that you mentioned. The feedback sometimes from my team is I think big, I think huge, and I have to really balance that with how would I still be able to invent if I had constraints around frugality that come with, resources or services or, whatever it may be. And I think it's a good tension, because oftentimes when you have constraints, you really have to think about invention and simplification in the form of constraints. And I think it makes the quality of what we deliver better for customers and our team. So that tension in our leadership principles, they're inherent. They're meant to be there for a purpose, to keep us balanced. And just for growth, I am working on my balance of think big and frugality, John. I want to put that on the record.
I think we all try to balance the leadership principles. They are no secret. You can find them out there very easy. And they, like Francesca said, we live and breathe by these. In fact, I hear them mentioned. If I said, more than 5-6 times a day, I would not be lying, because it's part of our core culture and it's ingrained in you. And I actually really enjoy following them, because it kind of defines some of the movements or some of the things that I do from a builder or an innovator perspective.
That's right.
Speaking of perspective, how does innovation look like from your perspective?
Well, I think,
Or what? I apologize.
Yeah, it's okay. There's a lot of ways that we try to foster innovation. I'm not sure if it's just the Francesca way. I think we have, many mechanisms, by the way.
Francesca way. Hold on a second. I'm taking that down.
That's a scary thought, by the way. But a couple of things. You mentioned one, and it shouldn't go, understated. You mentioned the working backwards process, which is a key mechanism in our culture of innovation. And that process basically, we look at 5 questions on behalf of customers that we tend to ask them. Things like, what problem are we trying to solve? Who is the customer? How will this benefit the customer? We put that together in a press release, frequently asked questions. I'm part of a technical team here at the company, and I'll tell you that one of the hardest things that we do is actually sitting down, taking the time, writing a press release and frequently asked questions, which again is all about the customer, because it forces you to think in the customer lens. And I keep 2 open chairs behind me. That's the customer behind me, by the way, John, here where I'm sheltering in place. And also it allows us to think long term, because oftentimes you're building a press release with your customer, over a period of time. So that's one way that I think is just inherent within Amazon and AWS that we foster innovation. I think the other great thing that we try to do here is our writing culture. It's interesting because, here you have, we very much focus on diversity, equity, and inclusion. And you have builders who have different skills, different talents, different mindsets. The one thing that our writing culture does, it allows us to all be on the same playing field. And so sometimes you might have a style of personality like mine, a little bit more introverted, where writing allows you to surface ideas from anywhere in the company. And I think that's really important for people to keep in mind. So that's one way that we try to foster innovation in our group, just through our written culture. And then there's more formal ways that we have. A lot of the SAs and CSMs in my community, we work through our operating plan to foster up ideas. That's our 2-3 year strategic outlook mechanism, where we sort of write initiatives and ideas. And then we also try to have regular regular reads where, again, I told you that many years ago an SA came to me and said, hey, I'd like to invest a certain amount to buy some cars for this thing that we're going to do called RoboCar Rally. And that idea, we turned it into a 1-2 pager. And that ultimately became a very early step in, what we now look at around Deep Racer with a combination of our services team. So I don't think there's one way. I think you have to have an open mind. I think you have to foster creativity. We try to do that through narrative writing and just writing in general here. And I think that people should remember that innovation can come from anywhere in an organization. And that's what we try to foster here. It doesn't just come from the top. In fact, I think the people that are closest to our customers tend to drive the best innovation here.
You mentioned the press release and the working backwards, and we kind of mentioned that in the conversation. One of the things that kind of comes to mind is that whenever you go into a meeting, it's a piece of paper. You're supposed to read the paper first. Everybody takes the first 10 minutes and reads it, and you're kind of, everybody's on the same page, and the questions are there. And one of the things you also mentioned, what problem are we solving? Do you know how many times I get asked that? Because I come up with this awesome idea and they're like, what problem are we solving? I'm like, that's a really good question. And then, you have to think about it a second, really, what is the ultimate problem you're solving? And I think that kind of really puts you in perspective. It's like, am I solving a problem for me or for the customer? And I love it. It challenges the way you think, and to provide that value and innovate and build to provide anything like the robo cars, and then going to Deep Racer. It's awesome how it feels like I was afraid of joining AWS thinking that it was a huge enterprise, but it's so much startup mentality that you're allowed to innovate and build. And that's what they feed. Everybody feeds off each other.
Yeah, it's really important. And by the way, we're very happy that you joined, but it's really important because I think, oftentimes what we try to do is to have an insurgent sort of mindset here versus an incumbent one. And I think that we have this saying here at Amazon around being day one. And day one is basically, 4 things that we want to make sure that we do. We want to stay really close to our customers. We want to resist proxies or heavy processes that get in the way and they create, bureaucracy. We want to ensure that we are eagerly adopting external trends that we hear, rapidly. And we also want to make sure that we're creating the right framework to make high quality and high velocity decisions really fast. And so I think Amazon has over 800,000, I think, employees at this point. I think one of the things that we're pretty lucky is that as we continue to grow, we want to ensure that we remain lean and not complex in day one. And we do that, through these mechanisms. So you're right. It definitely feels very much like a large startup, and one that we'll continue to iterate on over time through our builders.
Yeah. I do not want them to change in that aspect, because I think that's what has us all. We love so much, and we enjoy that startup mentality, and we have fun. I mean, look at me. I know I have fun every day. I look up and seeing how I can challenge and have some fun and provide value and, do my job. And that's all because of the people I work with, the day one mentality, and just the culture.
Yeah. And because, S3 is a huge, huge, huge important service for our customers and their ability to adopt the cloud.
Man, I swear you are, you know what? We do this every single time. I had a conversation with Mylon. She did not have any of my notes here. And you guys are like, I don't know, thinking of reading my mind, because my next question before I get into a builder video, because I must show that one. So before I get to that one, my next question is, I also noticed that in one of your social media posts, you mentioned service innovation, Textract, Neptune, Graviton, Route 53, and then everyone's favorite S3. So that's where that kind of comes in. Can you talk to us about what service innovation means to you?
I mentioned earlier, we have over 175 services on the platform. And every day I'm learning with customers on, new capabilities where we're helping them to achieve business outcomes. And so I rotate a lot of different favorite services based on what I see customers doing. And so the ones that I just have found sort of interesting of late are the ones that you just mentioned. And in particularly on the compute side, I think, we're starting to see our customers, they're excited that we're one of the only cloud providers that actually offers up our own instances with our ARM instances, or what you hear is Graviton. We offer Intel-based chips, and then we also offer AMD-based chips as well. And so we're one of the few providers that does that. And then on the Graviton side, many of our customers who are moving workloads in the database space or other are basically finding 40%, cost performance reduction just by moving to Graviton. And so we're just, we're paying attention to these signals and the innovation and the form factor of compute coming down, cost per performance coming down. And that's huge for a lot of customers. So I get excited about that. I think services like S3, they don't just become like object storage for customers. In some cases, it's becoming the foundation of how customers are reimagining their data lake strategy, And so I rotate in and out of different services, but those are the ones I've been hearing a lot from customers, and I just get excited about it. And Route 53, by the way, that's just obviously everyone knows that that's one of our domain name services for how we sort of register that. But for me, in my personal life, that is how I decide if we're going to connect or disconnect my son from the internet, is my new form of discipline. Route 53 has become very lofty for me in managing my child.
Nice. I'm going to have to pick your brain a little bit more on that one from a family aspect.
ENS, I'm telling you, pretty influential.
You know what? Being that I have 3 of my own and 2 really young ones here, 8 and 10, and it's becoming more important that I manage their content. So yes, very, very true. Off of that one, you mentioned S3 here, and I think the best thing that I like about S3 was one I had with Mylon, and then I'm going to give a plug into Bill here, is the intelligent tiering. I absolutely love the intelligent tiering aspect of it. It's a no-brainer. Pennies does it automatically. I mean, I think that's one of the best things, that we listened to our customers and we provided this and we gave back to them. I mean, what's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I completely agree. Another signal that we hear from customers. There's some other great things you mentioned, Bill. I presume you're speaking about Bill Vass, who's one of our other great VPs. Listen, one of the other trends that we hear from customers is really about the simplification around management and governance of the cloud. Bill and his team have driven some really nice innovation with AWS Config and X-Ray. Just, again, more areas where customers are finding very good value, in addition to edge services, this whole portfolio. But one day, in our next session, we'll have to devote that with Bill. Would love to do a segment with Bill.
That is in the talks here. I can't give that away. Edge services on that one. But Francesca also mentioned some of the other benefits of S3. If you take a look at my YouTube channel for the conversations I had with Mylon, which we actually break down a lot of the policies and the security aspects of S3, complete in depth. I really enjoyed that conversation and things I didn't even know. I mean, every time I look at trying to learn something, daily, and I'm just taking away so much. I mean, you educated me on, Deep Racer and the premise before that one, so that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
All right. So we talked about innovation and builders, but I have to share with everybody here a video that I absolutely enjoyed watching. I found inspiring. I've shared multiple times on social media. Francesca, if you don't mind, I am going to cue that up. All right, here we go. Take a listen.
I don't believe in waiting for good things to come. I believe in going all out to get them. My philosophy is this: life is 10% of what happens to you and 90% what you make of it. As the head of solutions architecture at Amazon Web Services for the Americas, I see firsthand the evolution and potential of cloud computing. I believe cloud will change how the next generation gets things done, and I love it. Growing up, I loved learning new languages and mathematics, so my mother signed me up for a coding class, and I haven't looked back since. Every day, I work with solution architects, students, and builders from all backgrounds. To me, inclusive teams are more productive and are able to better serve our customers. I've seen and experienced how representation in technology has changed throughout my career. Things are improving, but there's still a lot we can do to help build the future. I want to help those starting out in this industry build better confidence, to have them work bravely towards their goals. My name is Francessca Vasquez, and I am a builder.
All right, here. I just want to let you know it did cut there at the end. I apologize, but I hope you enjoyed it. Let me send you the link to this video. It is really awesome at the end there. It just dropped from the end of the port. But something that I want to share with everybody is you mentioned philosophy is 10% of what happens to you and 90% of what you make it. I couldn't personally agree more with that statement. Does this translate into personal decisions, career advice, or both?
Yeah. Well, first, that is a quote from Charles Swindoll, and it basically talks about life is 10% of what happens to you and 90% how you respond or react to it. And I think it goes back to, again, just a mindset. And I think the mindset that you apply to things, what you put into that is the outcome that you'll get. So I just try to lead and I try to model a way where my mindset is always focused around growth. So I tend to have a growth mindset. And then I think being part of this ecosystem around innovation with customers, I think that very much translates into the builder mindset around just problem solving very hard things where sometimes not all the answers are right in front of you. You have to sort of look at the different pieces, put them together, and then invent for customers. So it's a mindset for me that I've always had for a long time. When I first heard that quote over, well, let's not talk about years, but a long time ago, John.
That's all right. We can talk about it. So I have to tell you that really was inspiring and resonated with me because I agree with you so much on that comment, and it's a really inspiring story. I will drop the builders thing. It looks like it actually completed successfully. I was actually watching the one screen and I dropped to the other one at the same time. Hey, I'm trying to manage streaming and get you the content at the same time. As always, this is live and we just go with it. But I really like that. I'm going to drop that out to everybody or reshare that one. Sandra, who did that video or worked on that one, perfect and captured you completely and your personality, in my opinion.
Oh, huge thanks to Sandra. Yeah, she's great. Our Asia Pacific and Japan team, amazing. That was all our employee brand team. So thanks to them.
Yes. And I had the chance to chat with her. I haven't actually met her yet. I can't wait to meet so many of the people that I just met throughout the last 6 to 8 months virtually and sit down and actually have physical coffee with them. Hopefully next year is going to be the turning point for that.
Yeah.
But going off of that one, so we have 5 more minutes, and I'm going to use up those 5 minutes here because it kind of actually went into my next topic. I don't know how I do this. It just kind of translates into those. When I first started doing podcasts, I really actually got tired of talking about COVID, and it's like I didn't want to hear it. Nobody wanted to hear it. And I've really come to realize after I did a show with Jeff Barr that once you accept the current situation, only then can you start to change and grow. So I'd be lying if I said that the current trend is nothing like the trends that happened before or back in February and March. And so, Francesca, my question is I'm curious to hear your thoughts about the trends happening 6 months ago and the trends that are happening now.
Well, I think first off, nobody could have predicted that we would, be in a pandemic like this in 2020. And I think from the customer perspective, I think we've watched a shift in a lot of different businesses and companies really have to quickly sort of reinvent themselves just as a result of this. We've moved a lot of our industries to almost entirely remote working, which has created, just a different way of doing things. We've watched organizations like Zoom become the standard for e-learning and remote learning for, our higher ed and education and university and institutions. We've also seen like a huge spike in our media companies and gaming organizations, companies like Hulu and Netflix and Epic Games. Just watch sort of their surge because everyone is online, and sort of that digital disruption is by default sort of happens. I think we've seen that. On the employee, and by the way, and we've also seen organizations where their customer support and customer experience organizations have become critically important. They've gone to remote, and we've been lucky enough to be able to provide them with solutions like Amazon Connect to really be able to rapidly help them. So that has been sort of the exciting part of the journey, and watching people really revamp their businesses and how we've been able to help them. I think from the employee perspective, by the way, though, this is a really big change for everyone. And so you've got the backdrop of COVID. You also have things like diversity, equity, inclusion, and social injustice happening sort of around the world. I think that's a lot for any one community, John. And so I think as leaders, one of the things that we've been focused on is making sure that we're creating a good, safe space for employees. I think we just had a lot of organizations are focused around mental awareness. I think it's a great thing. They should be. But most of us draw our sources of energy from people. So this has really been a big change in just our social interaction, and one that I think we're all watching. There's no roadmap or blueprint for this. We're also learning, and we're also trying to make sure that we're creating the right environment where employees still and our customers still feel, valued, connected, integrated, engaged. And so it's going to be an ongoing journey, I believe. But for Amazon, we're keeping our employees working remotely until June of 2021. That's always subject to change, but that's where we stand right now.
Yeah, I agree with you that in the beginning here, it was a learning curve for everybody. In fact, it's still a learning curve, but we've all changed and adapt. And I can tell you in the beginning, since the beginning, I have full support from AWS. Now, I normally work from home, but I did a lot of events, so it's definitely different for me. The kids are home now, so it's everybody's changing their aspect and how they're handling things and how they're doing and not. But I think we're all coming to adapt and an understanding that everything's being done online now. So when you're having a call and your kids pop in, nobody's bothered by it. They're like, it's just the norm. It's just happening. In fact, my kids are out right now, but I was like, yeah, you know what? Sometimes they might just roll in down here and be live streaming. My son's, he's loving it. But I agree with you. I love the support, and it's a good culture.
Yeah. Yeah, and listen, I think we're all in the same boat together. My dog, he definitely loves when I'm doing interviews at AWS, and he wants to make it known that he's there with me in the interview process. So I think that's, again, that's one of our peculiar ways that we just have to sort of lean into. We've got this saying in our business with the global SA CSM community where we're just trying to do our best to take care of the crew, John, and
Yep.
that's of how we see it on the mission.
That's actually a good mission there, and something to kind of take away from it. Now, I know we are out of time, and Francesca and I discussed this in the beginning. We had a list of topics, but what happens is, more important things come up, and I like taking questions from the audience and having that casual conversation with everything. And Francesca, do you have anything you'd like to add before we kind of end this? Oh, by the way, I've already set you up for round 2, and maybe we've called Bill Vass out on that doing one. So we're putting you on the spot there, and then I'm just working my way up to. So anything else to add?
No, hey, this has been a lot of fun. I just want to, thank all of the builders that are out there that are out helping customers and continuing to help us drive innovation. As we talked about, John, reInvent 2020 is coming up, so please go out and register. That's going to be a great time. And I don't know, maybe next time I might have to like shave part of my head. I'm not quite sure. I need to sort through that. Someone needs to help me invent around that. But this has been a lot of fun, and I appreciate you investing in hearing some of the great things that the community is doing, John. So keep up the great work.
Thank you, Francesca. I really appreciate that. I had some cool stuff planned for reInvent. Does not mean it will not happen in the future here. In fact, we're talking about partners maybe donating a booth, and people can get like the logo, just a temporary one in their hair, because you got to think nobody wants to shave their hair. Not everybody is like me, and I got less hair that I don't have to worry about. Or maybe a tattoo, a glow in the dark one that you got special. We were planning all kinds of things, but does not mean it won't happen. So stay tuned for that one. So you do not have to shave your head, but we might have some other things you could do.
All right. Let's go.
All right. Sounds good. So Francesca, thank you for your time. I know you have a busy schedule. This has been awesome. I love your personality and having this conversation with you. I look forward to our next time. And, everybody, thank you for joining us. I really appreciate it. Thank you, Francesca.
Bye.